Hello everyone, this is Awabakib and today we're going to solve May-June 2020 Paper 21 Pre-Release Material. So let's jump ahead into it. It's actually a pretty simple paper. If you look at it, the flow of the program is simple, the questions are simple, so I hope you won't have much trouble understanding it. Anyways, so what it says is that we have to prepare a program that is basically going to take inputs of all these items. Basically, we're maintaining an inventory, okay? So what we're going to do in the first task, it says you have to use appropriate data structures to store the item code, description and price information for the mobile devices and the accessories and SIM card and so on. Then you'll allow the customer to choose a phone or tablet. Now, if he or she buys the phone, you will allow them to buy a SIM, okay? Once they bought the SIM, they're going to buy a case. Now this is not, it's not necessary that they have to buy a phone to get a case, right? Because both phones and tablets would definitely need a case. So the case would be, would be exclusive for both of the items. And then you're going to ask them if they need a charger. They can have, they'll have three options, okay? None, one or both. Now what do we mean by all these? I'll explain that. And at the end we have to output the total list, as in the items purchased and the total price. Now let's jump ahead into phones. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 type of phones, okay? They have different item codes and they have different descriptions and definitely different prices. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 type of tablets, and then 2 SIM cards, 2 cases and 2 chargers and so on. So the first question is we have to use appropriate data structures. Now we know that if we want to save something of same type, and we have to, like, we have a lot of information that we need to access over and over again, so we use an array, okay? So we'll have an array of, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements, and there would be different arrays, okay? So I'll explain how it's going to work. So let me tell you the flow of the program, which is very, very simple. You'll definitely understand this, okay? So you're going to give them an option of phone or tablet. They'll choose one or two. Now, if the choice is one, which is phone, they'll select one phone from 6 options. What are those 6 options? All of these, okay? All right, once they've done that, they'll choose a SIM, and SIM is of 2 choices. We have the SIM free and we have pay as you go, okay? So whatever they choose, you have to price them accordingly, okay? So let's say I bought a phone, let's say I bought a clamshell, so it will cost me 49.99. So here I'll charge the price, okay? Charge price of the phone, whatever phone I buy. And then from whatever SIM I buy, I'll charge this price of SIM. So I'll repeat all of these steps for all of the statements in my program, okay? So by the time I've bought a SIM, I would have been charged 49.99, and let's say I don't buy a SIM, I go SIM free, so that would be a total of 49 plus 0, which is 49.99, okay? All right, now if you don't want to buy a phone, you want to buy a tablet. So in the choice, you enter 2. So you'll, instead of going to this if condition, you come here, right here. And then here you choose, you'll be given 4 options for the tablet. So you'll print all of these 4s with their prices, descriptions, and the code. And if the user enters any other option than 1 or 2, then you have to show the error message, okay? You'll have to ask them properly to please enter option 1 or 2 if you want to buy a phone or tablet. Now once this whole thing is done, now you know the user has either bought a phone or a tablet so far, so it doesn't matter what they've bought. Now we have to give them a case and charger. For charger, they'll again have 2 options, okay? For car and home, and for case they'll have standard and luxury. So for case, you're going to ask them to input 1 or 2. If it's not in that, you're going to ask them to repeat it again properly. Then you'll give the charger options. Okay, for charger, we have 3 options. First choice is none, okay? So where is it? Yes. So we have 3 choices: none, one or both, or one or both may be purchased, okay? So there are 3 options. So in first option, you'll say no charger. That means you cost, the cost of charger would be 0. In second option, you'll ask which one do you want to buy, if one of them, okay? So they'll specify either they want to buy the car charger or home charger. And then you'll again ask them to enter 1 or 2. If they do not, you repeat that. And for the third option, the third option in our case is to buy both. So if they enter 3, you straight away are going to add both the prices, that is $15.99 and $19.99. Okay, so you go and straight ahead just charge that price. So this was the whole flow of the program, and in the end we're going to output the bill that will be saving in an array as we go through, and then we'll output the list of items that is we're also saving in the array. Alright, so let's get into the pseudocode. Before we start the pseudocode, I want to show you the Python program that I wrote for this. It's pretty much, I first tried the Python code and then I converted it into pseudocode. So they both very closely related. So let's run the program. Alright, so I want to buy a phone. Let's say, so it shows me all the options, okay, with their complete description and the prices. Now these are not hard-coded values, okay, we are directly accessing from the array. So if I minimize this, so you can see I made different arrays for everything. So for one, the first for phone codes I made an array, then for phone description and phone prices, then for tablet, SIM, case, charger, and so on. Okay, now what's happening? So when I say phone code array, so we have 0. In Python the index starts from 0, in pseudocode it starts from 1. So I say 0th index first, second and third, and you can see I left the spaces in between between them as well. Okay, the reason I left the spaces just for clarity purpose. So when I say what is at the second index of my phone codes, then it is RPSS. Now from the question statement we know that RPSS is RoboPhone 5-inch screen and so on. So at second index of phone description it's this, okay, of RPSS, and of the second index of phone prices I have exactly saved $199.99 of the price of that specific phone. So you see these arrays are all mapped. So what I've done is I've input the phones and tablets and chargers and cases at specific indices, and then I'm just accessing the indices separately using their array names. So if you say please return me the whole this row, okay, so let's see, so this is case CSLX, so I'll go to my case arrays and this is my CLX. Okay, so this is at this is 0th index, this is first index. So first index CSLX of the case codes, then case description you have luxury, and then $50 for case price. Okay, exactly this row completely. So this is the easiest way to map multiple data of same type into a problem like this. Okay, you just make an array and you keep track of the indices. Alright, so let's run the program once. So I want to buy clamshell, I'll press 2. It says what SIM you want to buy. I say I want to pay as you go, so I press 2 again, and it says what case I want to buy. I say I want to buy the standard case, and then it asks me about the charger. Well, let's say I don't want to buy any charger. So this is the total. Okay, let me maximize this. So you can see the BPSH clamshell, this is the description code, this is the description, code, description, code, description. So what I am doing is every time I enter a value, I save that specific value in another array, okay, the item list or whatever I call it. And then for each item that I bought, I also maintain an array of all the prices, okay. So clamshell is $49.99, I add it into an array, then 9.99 for pay as you go, and then 0 for the standard case, and then this is my total bill. So this is not difficult at all, it's just nested if conditions, okay. So let me show you the code now. For task 1, we just have to take the values input and then calculate the list and the items that we bought. Alright, so just like I showed you in the program list, in the program flow, sorry, so this is the output list, this is an empty list in Python. I'll tell you what it does. Basically we're going to add every item that we buy into it. So first of all, I ask for the input. This int is basically converting all of this value, whatever you input, into an integer, okay. So if somebody enters ABC, it won't be allowed in Python because it's clearly being casting to int. So if choice is 1, so since I mentioned choice of phone is 1, then I'll print all of the 4 values, okay. Now, alright, so I'm not hard coding the values that I print, okay, because these values can change. They can add new items into their inventory, and it would be very bad if we just print them as they are. Like if I hard code clamshell here, so if they enter any new item, they'll have to manually edit it. Okay, so that's why we do not hard code. We use the reference of the variables or the arrays. Now what's going to happen is, what is at phone code 0? At phone code 0 I have BPCM. Okay, then it will print that phone description, it's compact, and then the phone price at 0 index is 29.99. I'm just appending a dollar before the price. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. I'm simply taking the values as they are from the arrays, and I'm inputting, I'm outputting it to the user on the screen. Okay, so this, then I'm just checking. Okay, I'll explain it in the pseudocode because not all of you might know Python. So I've explained till here now. Now I say, what phone do you want to buy? Please enter that number. Okay, so since we have 4 choices, I think in phone we have 6 choices, but I'm only doing it for 4. Yeah, we have 6 choices. I'm only showing it for 4. For the rest 2, you can easily figure it out. It's all the same. So if the phone type is 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, only then you take the input. Okay, all right. So what's happening in this line? If you see, I'm assigning the phone codes, phone type -1 to item code. What's happening? So let's say the user entered phone type 1. Okay, the phone, what is phone type 1? It's compact BPCM at 29.99. So when they say 1, what is at first index of our array? It's actually BPSH, clamshell, RPS. Yeah, so these 3. Since I told you in Python, the pseudocode, in Python the indices start from 0. Okay, in pseudocode they start from 1. Okay, so you have to please keep this in mind very well. So the person bought this, but we are referencing it as clamshell. That's wrong. So what we have to do is, whatever the user inputs the number, we have to subtract 1 from it to map it onto our array. Okay, so if let's say the user entered phone type 4, what is the phone type 4? We know it's robophone, right, the last one. But what is the index? It's 0, 1, 2, 3 again, so we have to subtract 1, so in order to get it into for the proper value of the array. So if we have, so what we do is, we repeat the procedure for the phone code. We save the item code, then we save the description of that index, and then we save the phone type or phone price of that index. Okay, so 3 things we are getting. You can also get the any additional information you want. Okay, and this is the output list. Now what am I doing here? Basically the item code is being saved into the output list. Okay, because they mentioned in task 1 that we have to output a list of all the items purchased. Okay, you have to calculate a list of all the items purchased, so we need to keep track of all the items. So if the user bought whatever the phone they bought, you have to put that into an array. So my array's name is output list. The index is just the the index value, so it starts from 1, and then I'm adding +1 to 4 so that it can go to the next index. At the next index, I'm saving the price, the item description of that item, and you can see this in the program as well. I think I closed that. So let's 1 1 1. Okay, you can see. So I'm saving the code, the description, the code, the description. So this is what I'm doing. Okay, so I am saving the code into the output list, and then I add 1 to the index, so we go to the second index or the first index. Since we're in pseudocode, our index is starting from 1, so we are at second index now. So at second index, I save the item description just like in the Python code. Okay, so this is, let's assume index 1, the code and the description. Okay, and here I'm saving the item price into another array I called bill, and for that I'm using an index 2. Okay, because we are only adding 1 price at a time, so we cannot use the same variable as here, otherwise it will start from index 2. So I am starting the index 2 from 0 initially. I think okay, it's not declared above, it must be declared, so you need to integer index 1 must be 0 and index 2 must also be 0. Okay, whatever you want to name them. So whatever the user bought, the price is also appended to the bill. like I've done. Okay, so this is the first item, its price has been appended into the bill, and the next item, and the next item, and so on. Okay, so it's pretty simple so far. Now once the user has bought a phone, you can see this is a nested if. Okay, so the sim is only shown on the screen if the user bought a phone. So this if is, this if is being nested into this if. Okay, the if condition about the phone type and stuff. So once here we repeat the same thing with different variables. Now we say what sim do you want to buy. There the sims available are sim code 1, sim description 1, and I append the price in the dollars. Where am I getting this information from? The sim code is SMNO, sim free, $0, pay as you go, $9.9. So I'm just outputting the values from the array. There's nothing else that I am doing. Okay, and again if they enter sim type 1, since our index starts from 0 in Python, so that's why we are subtracting it from 1. So we go one index back. So again I'm saving the sim code, the sim description, the sim price, and similarly I'm adding the code and the description. Sorry, where were we? Okay, so I'm adding the sim code and the sim description into the same output list. Okay, these are the same. See if I highlight them, these are the same exactly, because we want to output the same list at once. Okay, and for the bill again our input the price of the sim into the next index of the bill. So initially the phone price is at index, let's say 1. So then we added 1, so now we're at index 2. So at index 2 I put the sims price, and then I go to index 3. Okay, and if the user enters it wrong, you have to continue. Basically is just a keyword to go back to the while statement. Okay, you go straight to here, you leave everything aside. Or in another way of doing this in pseudocode is using a repeat until. So repeat until the user enters 1 or 2. You end if, and this will end this if. Okay, now if the user doesn't, okay, let's go to this else. This else is being closed by this if. Okay, so if the user type is not between 1 to 4, you are going to ask the user to please input a value from 1 to 4, otherwise you cannot buy a phone. Now we're done with the phone. Next up is tablet. So again we are going to repeat literally the same code for each thing, except for we just have to change the values of the arrays. Okay, the names and the values and the indices. So now since we are at tablet, so I'll show you the tablet code 0, the tablet description 0, and tablet price 0. So for our tablet we have two types. I think in the program there are 4 or more. I'm only just doing it for 2. So at 0 we have RTMS, RoboTab for $149.99. Then we have the RoboTab, and then we have $299.9. So I'm doing the same thing. Whatever the user enters, I subtract 1 from it to go one index back. Um, Basically you don't even need to subtract in one in here, because this is pseudocode. In pseudocode we are assuming that the index starts from 1, but if you assume that it starts from 0, then you have to do this -1. Okay, otherwise there's no need of subtracting -1. So again I am saving the item code, and you can see I'm using the same variable names. The reason is we want to keep our program coherent. Okay, otherwise we'll have to create different variables for all of these, plus they are being overwritten. Okay, so once we bought a phone, we cannot buy a tablet, right? So once we buy a phone, then we buy a sim, and then we straight go to the case. So they are being overwritten, but they are being saved beforehand into the list. Again I input the item code, the description, and I add the indices, and then I put the values into the array, and so on. And same thing I repeat for cases, and same thing. So only one thing worth noticing is else if the choice is equal to 2, you do this. Otherwise this else is directly the counter of the first if that will get the most outer one if. Okay, if choice is 1, else if choice is 2, that is phone or tablet. Else if the user didn't enter either of them, you have to prompt the user to enter 1 or 2. Now, once the user has bought a phone or a tablet, you are going to repeat the same thing. You'll ask them for the case type. The case types are two. So you are offering them standard or luxury. So you're going to ask, please enter case 1 or 2, whatever the input. You do the same thing we did above. You add the list, you add the items into the list, you add the price into the bill. And then for the charger, it's the same, just some more if conditions. So like I showed you in the flow before, if the charger type is, so you'll give three options. Okay, I just hard coded it here for my ease. You can use the array names and the indices same. Okay, all right, now you're going to give three options. If the user enters option 2, so that is both. Oh, sorry, this is either. So for either, you again are going to ask the user if they want to buy car charger or home charger. Whatever the input, you again add that to the item list, to the price list, and so on. All right, now if they enter 3, what is 3? They choose both chargers. Then what you're going to do is, you're going to first add the charger code 0, the charger code description to the list, then charger code 1 and charger description 1. Why? Because there are two chargers. So for first charger, the code and description, then for the second charger, the code and description, and then the prices for both exactly as above. And we do not forget to increment our index counters. Okay, and else if they finally choose 1, then they buy no charger, which means you don't need to add anything into the bill or the item list. And finally, you'll output the list. And how are you going to do that? Okay, I think we missed something here. Okay, so this should have been inside a while loop, in a for loop. Okay, because this is an array and we have to print an array, but it's the same for here. So let's do this. So to print an array, what you do is you run a for loop from 0 or 1, whatever the index start you're assuming, all the way to the length of the array. And then you are printing the bill as I'm doing. So what's it doing is, it's printing each index of the bill. And if you want to sum it, the summing is easy. You do sum is equal to sum plus bill index x. What it does, so what is that index 0? It's 29.99. It prints that and it saves 29.99 into the sum. Just let me write the value here. 29.99 is saved into the sum. Okay, next time we had 0, so it prints 0. And what is the value here? It's 0 now. And what was the previous value at sum? It was 29.99. So the new value of sum is again 29.99. So let's assume next time the bill value was 5 and you add the previous value of sum into it. The new value of sum would be this would be around $35 or so. Okay, so this is how the for loop is working. We are just adding the individual values into the sum so that we can show it at the end. Next x is just taking you to the next value of x. So initially it's 0, then 1, then 2, and finally we end 4. You basically have to repeat the same thing for this code. Okay, except for the bill, you are going to put output list, and you don't need to sum anything, and you also have to put output list. Okay, and you can change the variable of for loop if you want, or it can stay the same. This would output the list of items. So this was our task 1. Alright, now let's start task 2, which is again simple. What they're saying is, basically we have to allow the customer to buy an additional mobile device if they want. Okay, so it not just once, they can order multiple mobile devices. Okay, so you basically have to give them an option before they check out. Like before they see the bill, you have to ask them, do you want to buy another phone? Press 1 if you agree, press 2 if you don't. And if they press 1, you have to repeat all the tasks of task 1 from step 2 to 4, 2 to 7. Okay, so you have to allow them to choose the phone, tablet, and so on, and then again output the price for that. Once no further output devices are required, output the total the customer will need to pay. And also every time they need to buy an additional device, you need to you need to calculate a running total. Okay, this is not difficult at all. It's just a simple basic if statements addition. Okay, so this is task 2. Literally nothing has changed so far. I just go at the end of the program where yeah, so this is my additional phone code. You can see In task 1, right before charger, we were just outputting the list of the items, okay, nothing else. And by the way, I forgot to mention the break. The break would basically would terminate the code, okay, because we have printed the bill. Now we want to terminate the code, so it will just terminate the whole program. So instead of printing the bill here, what we're doing is we are giving the user an additional option if they want to buy a phone or not. So 1 for yes, 2 for no. So they enter the information if the additional phone is equal to 1. All right. So what we're going to do is we first of all going to show them the values, the items they've bought so far. How? Again, using the same code as task 1. You're just going to output the output list. You're just going to print it inside the for loop, exactly how you print any array. And then you're going to show the breakdown of the bill, and you're going to sum the bill by saying total bill so far. Okay. And then you continue. What this continue means is once you show the list of items, you break down the bill, and from this point you are going to go back all the way up to the while's condition, okay, which is true, which means it will keep on running until you hit a break. So this was the only addition here. Now let's say the user enters two, so they bought 2 additional phones, and at this point they entered 2. They don't want to buy anything else. So what are you going to do? You are going to repeat the same thing here as well. Why? Because in the question statement it's written you have to show a running total, and you have to output the total customer bill that they need to pay at the end. So what you do is you again simply print the total bill at the end. So breakdown of items and breakdown of the bill, and then you print the sum. You can see the code is literally the same. There's not much change here, okay. So if I run the program, Python program for this, where is my task 2? Okay, so let's run the task 2, and I want to buy a tablet this time. This, let's say I go for luxury, I go for no charger. So now it says, do you want to buy another mobile? I say yes, I want to, and it shows me the breakdown of my bill so far. Okay, it says total bill so far, and then it asks me again what I want to buy. So let's say I want to buy a phone this time, a compact, a SIM free, and I want to buy both chargers. And it says, do you want to buy another phone? I say no, and now it shows me the total bill. And if you see, my bill previously was 349, and now it's 415. So it's definitely adding the bills together, and it's keeping a track of all the items. So this is my tablet, the charger, and then again my phone, this pay as the SIM free, and then the both chargers. So you see, it's basically keeping track of every item that we buy in each iteration of the loop. How are we doing that? We just added a condition. If the condition is true, you print the values, you print the sum, the bill, and then you continue. What does continue do? It takes you back to the start of the while loop. That's it. Okay. And this was task 2. Okay, so there was no tough thing in this. And lastly, we have the task 3 about offering discounts. Now what's going to happen in task 3? It's again not that difficult once you understand how it's working. So we open task 3. This might be a bit technical, okay, but kindly bear it with me. So what it's saying is, for every additional phone or tablet that is bought, you have to offer a 10% discount, okay, to the user. And what we have to do is, every time the user buys a device, let's say the first bill is of $250, so you offer 10% off of it, and then you show how much amount they saved and how much amount they have to pay. Then the second device they buy, let's say that's of $50. Okay, so assuming the previous discounted price is 200, now you take a discount 10% off on 50. Okay, so whatever you get, I think 45. So 45 plus 200 is 245. So that's the total amount that you need to display. And how much did they save? They saved $50 in first and $5 in second. So $55 they saved. Okay, or whatever the maths is, you get the gist. Okay. So you need to show the amount that they have to pay and the amount they saved. So you need to calculate the discount and you have to show them the discounted price. To do that, I just replicate the task 2 and I do some basic additions into the code. And what are those additions? Let me first show you the Python code for this. It's pretty much the same with minor changes. I'll explain what they do. I want to buy a tablet. Yes, so it's showing me, okay, so it's showing me that since I'm buying an additional device, it's already offered me a discount of 10%. And my total bill was 299.99. With 10% off, it's this, and the amount I saved is this. So I buy another thing this time, and it says, do you want to buy another? I say yes. So now again it's showing me a discount. Okay, you see, it's not showing me the total so far. It's only showing me the discount on the current order. I basically designed it that way for the ease of the user. So let's buy another thing and then end the program. No, I don't want to buy anything else. Now it shows me the total bill. So it shows me that I bought 2 items and it's summing me the total bill of those 2 items with the discounted price. Now how is it going to work in pseudocode? So you are going to add a couple of lines in the part where you ask for an additional phone. Now what is all of this doing? So let's see. So once you calculate the bill, that is for the specific order, okay, you found the sum that's saved in sum 2. Now you have to show them the discount. So since discount is 10%, it's 10% off, so I'm multiplying it by 0.1. What is 0.1? It is 10%. 10 divided by 100 is 0.1. So what am I doing is, the bill that we got so far, let's say it's 200, I multiplied by 0.1. It gives me the discount that I took. Okay, so if I show you the calculations of 200 into 0.1, so this means I saved $20. Okay, and then what is the updated price? Updated price is nothing but the initial original value minus the discount. So initially my price was 200 minus 20. This returns me 180, and that saved in updated price. Now what do I do here? I am basically putting that updated price into another array called individual bill, because I showed you in my Python program that I'm showing individual bills every time. But once you hit no, that you don't want to buy an additional phone, it shows you the complete sum, right? So I'll explain why. So you save the individual bill, and then from continue you go again. Now what's happening in this line? Basically what it does is, it's clearing the bill. So let's say I bought a phone and I press 1, I want to buy an additional phone. So it'll delete the previous phone's result or the item list. So if I show you this, so it says, do you want to buy another one? I say yes. Now in my task 2, it was saving all the data for the previous items, right? But now it will not. So I buy a tablet. Okay, so you see, so it's only showing me the breakdown for the tablet and it's not including the breakdown for the phone, because I designed it that way. It's up to you, whatever logic you define, it's perfectly all right. It must just calculate the sum and the discount properly. Okay, so I'm saving the price of each item for each additional phone into a separate array called individual bill, and I'm incrementing that, and every time I am emptying my bill list. Okay, so the previous items do not interfere into my current items price list, and so on. Now with continue, I go back there again. Let's say the user bought 2 separate things additionally and then hits no, they don't want to buy anything else. Now what am I doing here? I'm printing the output list, same as the previous question. And then for the breakdown bill of your purchases, now where am I getting the breakdown prices from? From this array, the individual bill array. Okay, and what was I saving here? I was saving the price, the updated price of each item. What was the updated price? It was nothing but the discounted price. Okay, so I found the discount first by multiplying it by 0.1, and then I subtracted the original price from the discount. That's how you calculate the discounted price, and I added it into the array. And finally, at the end, I'm just printing the array. So if you see, my program is still running, I think. Okay, so I say no. So it shows me the total bill. Okay, these are the individual prices for item number one and the individual price of item number two, and you add them together and you get the discounted price of both the items. So this is literally what I'm doing, and the variable I called as sum4, you can name it anything. What's it doing is it's just adding the individual bills. Okay, so initially the bill was 26, then it became 269 for item number two, and it's adding both of them. That's how you add any arrays values into a for loop, and then I just print out the sum. So this was the task 1, 2, 3, and 4, task 1, 2, and 3, not 4, sorry, of the paper. I've uploaded the pseudocode and the Python code in the link description as well, so please let me know if anything else is needed. Otherwise, thank you very much, and I hope you get a very good grade in the May June 2020 exam. Good luck.